What's going on, guys? It's Greg here today, and I'm bringing you a Black Ops Cold War gameplay commentary. What you'll be watching here is a Crossbow nuke. Yes, there is one kill with the LC-10. Otherwise, I would have been dead if I didn't have to pull it out. Also, of course, hand cannon kills because, well, the score streak counts towards the nuclear. But I think I had like a 35 gun streak, something like that. Probably get about, I don't know, 8 or so kills. The hand cannon, one with the LC-10. It's about 21 total coming from the Crossbow, which is quite a bit. Also, this was a 5 or 6 man party. Cannot remember the exact number. I want to say it was a full 6. But yeah, anyways, this is a raid domination 6v6. And I was really just trying to unlock the nail gun because I already kind of started full sending it in multiplayer. The weapon challenges are much better to do in zombies. I would highly recommend doing them in zombies if that is what you are trying to do. But yeah, so I just decided, you know what, I want to use the crossbow, I want to try to get this thing dark matter. Still need to finish the ballistic knife. But last time I uploaded a ballistic knife nuclear, and that was pretty interesting, except that one was done with 28 kills coming from the ballistic knife, 2 coming from whatever my primary was in that video. So anyways, moving forward, this hand cannon you guys saw in one of my last gameplays, it is absolutely nuts. It is really rewarding. The only thing you have to be careful of is it's not very good if you're going to be strafing, such as walking while aiming down sights, or if you'll be jumping around, sliding around. The only reason I say that is because it wobbles, and that can make you miss a shot. So you do have to be very careful. It's good if you can get timing down on somebody, and you can just kind of slide up the cover real quick, pop up, and get a nice pop shot off. But you kind of have to stand still if you want to use it, because, like I said, it's pretty difficult to use. If you're going to be moving around, just because the iron sights wobble all over the place. As for this crossbow, this thing is absolutely insane in Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer. It's just so strong. The bullet velocity is pretty quick. The reload time is probably the only thing that is bad about this crossbow. One of the things I wish they would have done was added attachments for the nail gun, the ballistic knife, and the crossbow. Maybe even the M79. They could have done something just to add more customization, a little bit more depth with the special weapons in this game. Maybe make them a little bit better, or just a little bit more niche and fun to use. But overall, I actually kind of have been enjoying including these special weapons into my gameplay, just because they're diverse, they're unique, and you don't really see a lot of people using them. You mostly see akimbo pistols or shotguns as the secondaries, but these are actually pretty deadly, and they can really help you out. So I would highly recommend giving some of these a try if you are looking for a more niche playstyle, or just something fun to use, something to go for. Because here in Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer, once you get dark matter, there's really nothing else to do. There's no prestige mode, there's nothing such as like that level 1000 grind after hitting prestige master. Sure, it happens each season, you can go for level 1000, but you don't really get anything for it. There's no rewards other than some prestige keys, and they don't really add too much to that. So yeah, once you get like the emblems and the calling cards you want, there's really nothing else to do with the level up in this game, which kind of saddens me. I really wish that they would add something into the game, maybe some camos or something with the prestige shop. But I really hope that in the next Call of Duty game they bring back prestige mode, and I really hope they do away with the score streak system we had in Cold War, because in my opinion this score streak system just isn't all that good. And the reason I say that is just because I mean, I don't really know how I should put it, but I guess I'll just steal Blame Truth's line here real quick. It's boring. I mean, it just really is. It's so boring that, you know, your streaks don't reset, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get your streaks as long as if you keep going on 5 kill streaks or get close to 10 kill streaks. It's just not fun. There's no, like, you know that feeling whenever you're close to a chopper gunner in Modern Warfare, or like you're close to your tactical nuke, or you know, and your heart starts beating because you really just don't want to die, or you start playing for that streak. In this game I just kind of play brainless, just run around. I don't know, just if I die, I die, you know, like I don't really care if I'm gonna die. I don't, like, what's the nuclear, you know, it's a metal. By the way, this gameplay here is a nuclear with the MG82. This thing's actually pretty fun to use. I'll have a video with the C58. I forgot to record my 45 gun streak with the C58, so rip in the chat for that one. Press F to pay respects. I guess I'll just have to go for another one. I actually really do not like that gun at all. I guess I can make a commentary, or, you know, we'll get into that in a little bit about the C58. But the score streak system in this game just, I just can't stand. There's no, like, there's no excitement whenever you're like, oh yeah, I got a gunship, you know, because it's like, maybe I only went on a 7 kill streak the entire game, but I just kept going on 7s, died, 7 again, died, 7 again, died, you know. Eventually got my gunship or whatever, because I'm also running Assassin, because, well, I mean, let's be honest. What other perk 2 am I going to run whenever I'm using perk greed? Assassin is the clear-cut choice of what you should be running. I mean, the other ones just don't really, there's no real need for them, should I say. So yeah, like Assassin, Scavenger is what I usually use, and it's just, yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed your streaks. So, but yeah, so continuing on with this gameplay, this is the MG82. This gun's a little weird. I want to get into this gun, my thoughts on the new weapons and all that kind of stuff. So the MG82 is good. It's just you lose aim assist so much with this gun because of how slow you move with it. So sometimes whenever you're shooting it, like let's say you have some grips that, you know, they tank your shooting move speed or whatever, and you don't have a stock on that actually increases your ADS walking movement speed. Well, the gun is so slow while you're standing that sometimes you just completely lose aim assist and your aim will just go all over the place because you just don't feel that rotation, you don't feel the sticky aim or whatever, and it's just like, oh, I lost aim assist. You know, it's not like one of those situations where you know it's going to happen so you can prepare yourself for it. You could start fine-tune aiming with your thumbstick. No, you're just going to, you know, start moving your thumbstick real quick and you're like, oh, wait, I just went right over that target. Like, what just happened? And I'm not the only one with this problem. There's a lot of people that have also been talking about this issue with the Amelie that I know, or the MG82, whatever you want to call it. Now as for some tips with this gun, because I've kind of figured this gun out already. So for controller, I mean, you can pretty much just use it like the same class setup you'd use on it with any other LMG, you know, field agent grip, infantry compensator, SOCOM eliminator, whatever you want to use. You can also put an agency suppressor on. You want task force, obviously, and pretty much everything else is up to you. But if you're on keyboard and mouse, I feel like you're going to have a field day with this weapon. So you want to try to make it for the tightest hip-fire spread possible, because this thing pretty much has like SMG hip-fire spread. And like, let's say you just use a sprint to fire stock, the one that like has like plus 10 sprint to fire speed, but it doesn't have any negatives. Let's just say you use that, and you put a 5 milliwatt laser on that. The ADS, or not ADS, the hip fire spread is so tight that I feel like this is going to be a keyboard and mouse player's wet dream. Like, this thing just, it's just, look at it. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I didn't have a stock that increased the hip fire spread. And you guys can see, this is like while I'm sprinting and stuff. Like, if you put a speed grip on his gun, or just like one of those grips that increases your movement speed, sprinting speed, and all that kind of jazz, I feel like keyboard and mouse players are just going to have a field day with this one. But yeah, maybe a little bit busted whenever it comes to that, but only time will tell. But moving on, the C58, the gun is just, I don't even know how to put it. So the time to kill is actually not horrendous. It's actually competitive with the assault rifles, and I don't think that's the gun's problem. The gun's problem is the recoil's completely random. There's like no pattern. It jumps up to the right and back down to the left, and it just like auto controls itself for you, which is bad because whenever it wants to go off and, you know, do its recoil, you start compensating for the recoil, and now you're off target because the gun started shooting back down to the left again. So there is a workaround for this, and I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm going to link his video in the description, but Turbo Man, he's another YouTuber, and I tend to watch his stuff because he goes really in depth with the weapons, with a bunch of data and stuff like that, kind of like how Exclusive Ace does, but I'd say a little bit more in depth than Exclusive Ace because he goes over everything. And he's had this like recoil plot with all the different grips, and if you use the Spetsnaz speed grip with the infantry compensator, the gun has a very tight spread. Now it's kind of like the Krig with infantry compensator and field agent, but still has more random recoil and all that kind of stuff. So it actually makes the gun usable to where you don't have to worry about the goofy recoil, am I right? Like, because the recoil is just, like I said, it tries to auto control itself for you, but if you try to compensate for recoil because, you know, you're trying to kill somebody because the gun has a very slow fire rate, it's a 4-bullet kill, and if you're trying to compensate for that recoil so you can beam somebody, you're just going to fly off target. So whenever you use that Spetsnaz speed grip with the infantry compensator, like I said, it's going to actually be usable. and the gun is decent at best. It's not terrible, it's not amazing, it's just a decent assault rifle. And you guys are probably wondering, so what would make it better, right? Like, if I was Treyarch, how would I buff this gun to actually make it usable? And because right now I think the gun isn't really all that usable, right? Like, there are clear-cut better choices in the game. You're way better off with the Krig. You're better off with the AK-47, whatever it may be. Pretty much any other assault rifle will do, okay? It doesn't have the worst time to kill in the assault rifle category, but it's because of how inconsistent it can be. That's where I'm like, well, why wouldn't I want to use something where I can actually master the weapon, right? It has mastery recoil to it. So what I would do if I was Treyarch is I would actually buff the headshot multiplier. So right now the only way to actually get a headshot boost to the gun is to either hit all headshots, which, by the way, like I said, the random recoil, it's not going to happen. So you might as well just aim for the chest and go for that 4-shot. I would make it a 1.4x multiplier to the head, because right now you need task force in order to get headshots to actually do anything. And that's a problem, because task force makes the random recoil, well, you can only imagine. So it's pretty much impossible to control. You can't tap fire it even with task force because the recentering speed is just downright horrendous. That's another buff I would do with it. So what I mean by recentering speed is whenever you're shooting the gun, how long it takes to go back to the center of where you were aiming before you shot the gun. It's absolutely horrendous on the C58. If you shoot it with task force, it kicks up, and by the time you actually need to even shoot a second shot to be somewhat competitive with any other weapon in the game, it's not recentered and you're just going to die. So the gun itself, like I said, it's just, ugh. I don't know what they were doing when they were playtesting it, but it's definitely not terrible once you get the Spetsnaz speed grip and the infantry compensator on there. Like I said, it becomes usable. It's a decent gun. It's not an amazing gun, but it's usable. Now, with these buffs, I think that would pretty much balance it out. It would become usable, or they could lower the fire rate even more, down to like maybe 520 meters, or not meters per second, but 520 rounds per minute. Buff up the bullet velocity just a little wee bit more and make it a 3-shot kill to the chest. I feel like that would be really interesting because the gun is already punishing. Don't even do anything else, right? Just make it a 3-shot kill to the chest. No need for any other buffs. Just kind of nerf its fire rate just a little bit more, just so that way it's really slow but rewarding, right? So I feel that that could be another possible buff they could do to the C58, and then it would be a really good gun. It would be kind of like a Man of War from Black Ops 3. So I don't know. Those are just my opinions on what they could possibly do with the gun in order to make it better. But right now, where it stands in the game, it is just garbage, right? I mean, let's just be real. It's okay, but I mean, just because it's okay doesn't mean it's really competitive with the other assault rifles in its current state, unless you're using the Spetsnaz speed grip infantry compensator, and at the end of the day, it's just a crutch to run those attachments. You can't have any sort of variety. You can't kind of be like, maybe I want to try muzzle brake, maybe I want to try foregrip. I mean, sure you can, but you're just so much better off using the speed grip and the infantry compensator because it's going to be the most consistent way to use the gun. So that's just how I feel about it. But this melee, on the other hand, nah, this thing's nice. The MG82, whatever you want to call it, a melee. This thing's a slapper, all right. Just, it's got a little bit on the slower side of bullet velocity, and it's also got some really crazy recoil, but if you can control it, this thing is a melt machine, and I would highly recommend leveling this gun up. And I think it adds well into the LMG meta. I don't really think that the LMGs are really all that busted anymore, and I don't think this one is by any means busted. If anything, the M60 and the RPD are definitely still your best bets whenever it comes to LMGs. But this thing, like I said, definitely usable, definitely good, and yeah, so that's my opinion on the new guns. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.